Yeah, as Will pointed out, I've known Will for, ever since we got here, practically, I think, Will. I am a corn entomologist by training, and spent my first probably 20 years doing corn insect research and teaching a little bit, and recently I got more involved in teaching, and I'm part of our Center for Instructional Excellence at Purdue, which is the teaching group on campus. And I don't teach anymore. I'm getting close to retiring, Will. We're going to step down here in a little bit. So the big class I taught, I used to have about 470 students each semester taking an entomology class, and that was the beginning of Bug Bowl. Will mention it to you. Go Google Bug Bowl one of these days. It's the largest insect-related event in the country. We have about, depends on the year, somewhere between 40 and 50,000 people that weekend on the Purdue campus. It's larger than Bug Bowl now. It started as Bug Bowl, but now we call it Spring Fest. We've got almost every department on campus doing science things for young people and families, and they come to have a good time. And I didn't bring any of those slides along, but we actually got started with that with a cockroach race years ago, and share this with you. My class, this big class I'm talking about, we don't have a lab. We were going to have an evening event. So I told the students we're going to see how fast cockroaches could run. And so they were going to show up over at the building that night, and then we would time them and see how fast they could go. Well, the local radio guy who was in that day talking to me about the latest corn soil insect recommendations, the students came in with these cockroaches, and they had painted numbers on their back. And these were American roaches. And he said, "What are you going to do with those?" And I said, "Well, we're having a cockroach race tonight in our class, and we're going to see how fast cockroaches could run." So he didn't ask me if he could do it, unlike somebody said, "Can we film you?" That works really good. And he didn't ask me. We went back to the radio station that afternoon, and he said, "You know what they're doing over at Purdue tonight? They're having a cockroach race, and you're all invited." And so that night, I was there, and my students were showing up, and all of a sudden, here came some families, and "What are you guys doing here?" "Well, Skip told us we have a cockroach race, we're invited." 130 people beyond my class showed up that night to go to a cockroach race. And I suddenly realized there's not a lot to do in Lafayette in the springtime. They're going to a cockroach race, and so we didn't do much that year with it, that evening. But the next year we decided, if people are interested in this, let's have an event. And what are we going to? Let's race cockroaches. And we decided we need a catchy name for it. So that was when the Bud Bowl was going on. Some of you with gray hair, you're probably old enough to remember when they were talking about the Bud Bowl. And we thought, that's pretty good. We'll just call it the Bug Bowl. And that was the name of it. And that first year, about 1,000 people showed up. And then it kept growing every year. And so now it's way out of hand. That's the largest event at Purdue, the police tell me, in terms of parking places on campus. Everything is clogged up with that event. But one of the things that happened, not to belabor you with these stories, we kept looking for different kinds of things. The cockroach race eventually was run on Roach Hill Downs, which we did at the State Fair for about 20 years. We did about 3 performances every day down there where we'd run the cockroaches. And we've stopped doing that because of the impending retirements. But then one day I was standing there, and I always did insects as food. Always cooked up insects for people who came. I've done that at the State Fair as well, if some of you've been down there. Cooking up insects. And so we were cooking up insects, and some guy was standing there, and he said, I was sauteing crickets. And I was stirring them up and sauteing them. And this guy looked at it, and he said, "What are those?" And I said, "Well, those are crickets." He said, "Oh, man," he said, "I couldn't put a cricket in my mouth. If I put a cricket in my mouth," he said, "I'd spit it from here to that tree." And I thought, there's a contest in there. and the next year, we decided we're going to have a contest, a cricket spitting contest. And we drew a circle on the sidewalk. I ordered about 50 spitting crickets, not the cooking ones that we were using. I had some extra ones for spitting. And people lined up to spit crickets. And that was kind of the first year. We ran out of crickets pretty quickly. And about 3 weeks later, I got a call from the dean. the dean called me and said, Turpin, come over here. So I went over there and he said, what are you doing over there at Bug Bowl? He said, I got a letter from an angry mother. And she was mad because her son, who was a 10-year-old, didn't get a spit of cricket because we ran out. He said, I've never got letters from angry mothers because their kids couldn't spit a cricket. And he said, why couldn't he spit a cricket? And I said, well, we ran out. We only had 50 crickets. And I made the management decision not to respit crickets. I didn't think that was going to be a good idea at that point. So we ran out, and he didn't get a spit. And the dean, in his wisdom, a lot smarter than an old entomologist, said, well, Turpin, you know what to do next year, don't you? And I said, no, what? And he said, well, buy more crickets. So the next year I ordered 2,000, and now we have about actually we order more than that now, but we have about 2,000 people spit each semester, or each event. We now have a Guinness World Record of cricket spitting, and the last information, we went out and established it on their show out there with a couple of our champions. And the last record I saw, there are now some 75 places in this country that have official cricket spitting contests, and it all started up at Purdue because some guy said I'd spit it from here to there, right? So that